Thank you so much for being interested in my work. In this video, I share with you my techniques and tips on how I create the hair, the hands, the clothes and the background. Be sure to watch it right through till the end, because here and there I'll be slowing things down in real time so you can take a closer look. So let's dive in and take a look. This is where I left it in part 1, so now it's the hair, background and the flowers to start with. So for the hair, for the underdrawing, these are the colours I'll be using. Add a little bit of dark blue there, dark ultramarine if I need to. Starting off then, just planning it out really, using the white and then just going over it. You have to play to start with and see what's needed. And then decided I have to get that background in before I can carry on with the hair. So here's some of the colours I'll be using for the background. Just getting all the elements in before I start doing the background and the hair. It's just a matter of getting a balance really of seeing and feeling how these work together. So what I've done here is just do the underdrawing of a little bit of the hair behind the flowers there, loosely putting in the leaf as well, just using very sort of basic colours. I'm not really interested in the underdrawing of getting the value right, the chroma, or the temperature. It's all about getting everything into the right place, shaping everything up really. It's all preparation for when you start putting those rich colours on. Doing all this work will make the next stage a lot easier for sure. Just be loose with your markings. It's just feeling the flow, especially when you're doing the hair. Just find the rhythm of it and then just follow the flow of it, and just add in those little marks and directions of where the hair will be does help. Now for the underdrawing of the rose attached to the hair, these are the colours I'll be using. It's like a pink from the Carbothello range, and also ultramarine blue light and cold red together, and that will create the subtleties I'm looking for. It's just a matter of just getting, like I say, keep mentioning this, but for the underdrawing you're just getting the placement right. It's just correcting the outline I've done earlier, just making sure everything's balanced up. Now using a bit of burnt sienna in there and a bit of brown with it, and also using a flesh colour, dark flesh colour from the Caran dash as well, which worked well. I think it's 741, and then just adding these colours over the top just to give it basic form. Same with the hair, just playing with it, just being loose. Really enjoy this stage because you can be really loose, and you just get that sort of feeling to it, which then you hope carries on then through the rest of the stages. Just planning out the background now using a Payne's grey and then some sort of green. You just have to pick a green that is similar colour, and then using Carbothello white just to tint it here and there, and just getting that foundation. Now I'm using richer colours now for the background, getting that in first before I do the hair. So just adding more colour, using a earbud to actually blend the colours together. To create that distant look, I'm using burnt sienna to desaturate the green as well, so it creates like a grey. Anything can be a grey by adding its complementary colour, and so I'm trying to get that sort of feeling of distance but still keeping that sort of glow with it as well. So it's getting that chroma right, not too glowy that it comes forward of the face, but enough that it's still in the distance, and that's just using them complementary colours. Now for the rich colours for the hair, here's the colours I'll be using. For the dark areas, be using these. Now I'm using some Rembrandt sticks. Now this is gold ochre, 2 different tints. And then for that flower, I'm using like a pinkish colour, pinky purplish colour. Now this area of the hair is really vibrant. It's got a lot of chroma in it, so it needs a lot of pigment in there. So the Rembrandt is ideal because they're very rich in vibrancy. So I'm laying that colour in and then using pencils then to manipulate that pigment I've put on from the sticks. Now it's always a little bit awkward when you first put the pastels on. It don't seem to want to do what you're hoping it's going to achieve. The key thing is to keep persevering, because layer after layer it starts to build up and then you start to get that glow and shimmer to it. Now I'm using a stick there which is the burnt sienna with a dark brown in the shadows, so it's just a case of just keep playing. If you're enjoying this video, why not subscribe? It's absolutely free, and then you're sure not to miss any of my future videos. Now this area is quite complicated, so you just got to relax and then just map it out again. Just be loose with it and find these areas by just adding white and grey to start with the stems, and then putting the rich colours around it. Sort of jumbled up details, so just paint what you see. That's what I tend to do, and then it just sort of comes together in the end. So just focus on the shapes, the tone, the chroma and the temperature, and it all seems to sort of come together in the end. It's just a matter of persevering. Here's a bit of real time for you. Just putting that white in there, this is Chinese white, and then just glazing over them with the yellow ochre, and that light will shine through, creating that glistening feeling to the hair. I'm adding cold red here into the shadows of the area, because warm against cold, it gives it that sort of contrast and it gives it that sort of zinginess about it. Blending here with a cotton bud, just dab it and very, very gently go across the pigment. Just adding a few whiffs of hair over the background there, just be sort of spontaneous with it. Now here is the shadow area, so you can see how I'm doing that. So I'm putting the cold red, dark green, burnt sienna, and a combination layer after layer creates that sort of look and depth you're looking for, and then just smoothing it over then with the cotton board. Now I'm adding some warm red and lemon yellow, which also creates zinginess. Now this area here is more cooler, so I'm using dark ultramarine and then brown, so creating a cooler feel. So you've got warm areas and cool areas. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank all my patrons for all their wonderful support every month. I can't thank you enough, it means the world to me. If you're considering joining me on Patreon and would like the benefit of longer, slower and more in-depth videos, please check out the link in the description below. Now all the videos I put on there now are all in real-time audio and video, so you get all the footage, you see everything step by step and hear me discuss as I go along. So if that interests you, please check out the link in the description below after you've watched the video. Basically what I'm doing here is putting burnt sienna, dark green together to desaturate it, so you're getting them subtle shadows, some deeper than others. So it's just a case of just being sort of aware of how deep and the value of it, and just add that little bit of brown here and there as well, just to give it that depth. It's a case of just keep having a go, playing with it. Just enjoy the freedom of mixing all these colours to get the desired effect you're looking for. Now these Rembrandt sticks are amazing just to get that sort of really vibrant bright light in your work. So I'm using that first, then I'll just move it around with the flesh tint from the Carbothello range, and then creating purples. It's very subtle. Here's the colours I'll be using. Look, there's so many different subtle purples and sort of mauvey colour in here, and I'm adding a little bit of lemon yellow which wasn't in that selection I just shown up, and that will just give a bit of chroma in certain places. So I'm just playing with the colours now, adding them reds. Sometimes it's a cool red, sometimes it's a warm red, and just keep mixing it up until you create that sort of vividness or subtle blend. Fascinating to do because there's so many subtle pastel colours in this, and it's been a real treat to do actually. I love creating this sort of thing. Now I'm using the ultramarine blue as well to create the purple, so I'm putting them reds in, adding that blue, keep changing it up, adding a bit of brown here and there as well, which creates a little bit of depth. You just got to keep playing and persevering until you find the solution. Now I've used a Caran flesh tint, dark flesh tint, which is 741, for the main body of the colour, and then adding these velvety sort of type colours over the top with the Carbothellos. It's just a case of just keep playing, you know. There's no other way around it really. It's just having a go, see what works, and just once you find the solution, you can just flow with it then, because I always say there's never ever any problems, only solutions. So if you keep that frame of mind, it keeps everything nice and sort of relaxed and focused. Just adding some details here just to pronounce the petals in certain areas, because it's lost in all the sort of subtleties, so I just added that little bit of detail just so you can make it out. Shining up the colours for the hands now, light colours, and these are the dark colours. Just starting off again with the underdrawing. Adding the white first, so I'm varying the pressure, so I'm putting more pressure on where it's lighter, less pressure where it's mid-tone, and just creating a very light idea of form. So that's all this is, just correct the outline that I've done freehand. So I'm just getting the shapes in the right place for when I start putting the rich colour stage on, just like when I did the hair and everything else. Adding that yellow ochre, which actually I forgot to shine that up, so I'm adding yellow ochre as well with this. And then for the darker areas, dark green and then red. Just create a sort of idea of shadow there, and like I say, it's just a basic idea of how the feel of it is, where the position of all these elements are. So just relax and enjoy the freedom of just moving these colours around. I love this stage as well because it creates a looser feel to it, and then that carries on hopefully throughout the work. I'm very careful not to over saturate the pastel matte tooth with pigment. Just keep it nice and light and build up slowly but surely. So this again is just a case of getting all the shapes in the right place. So I need to keep that tooth there, so when I put the richer colours on, it helps to blend and I can get the texture right then. So if you overload it too much at this stage, it will cause problems later on. If you're enjoying this video, why not give it a like and share it with your friends? It would mean so much to me because this would help the channel to grow. For the underdrawing of the clothes, I'm keeping it really simple, just using 708 Carbothello dark grey pencil and white, and that's all I'm doing. I'm just shaping it up, creating the correct shapes, moving things around, you know, correcting the outline, and just making sure everything is in a reasonable position for when I start putting on the rich colour stage. You have to find the pattern when you're doing this sort of thing. So what I tended to do here was count how many little circles there was and then just go around it with the white. So I'm using the actual colour of the paper as well that's coming through, and just getting that basic form again, getting things in the position where you feel it's right, and just being very light, because obviously when you start putting the rich colours on, you need that tooth there to create the details. So it's just enjoying the freedom again of just being loose and just step by step, just methodically counting them. And it takes a while, but in the long run it'll be quicker for you to do it this way. Doing this sort of thing can be quite overwhelming, so I suggest taking loads of breaks, coming back now and again to just do a little bit more. Another thing is to open your heart, let go of the mind, just look at the reference image from inside you, from your heart, rather than tunnel vision coming out of yourself, and this will keep you calm and centered. So it becomes quite easy to do these sort of things. You don't get all stressed out with it if you just keep in your heart and out of your mind. Here's a selection of pencils I'll be using for the rich colour stage of the clothes. Faber-Castell white, and also the Chinese white from the Caran range. This is the brightest area of the portrait, so it's interesting to actually create that bright white because it can become flat white if you're not careful. So adding a bit of lemon yellow here and there will bring that white to life, especially when you got this area where the sun's shining on it. It needs to warm up a little bit. So I'm preparing my way for that, by adding this pigment and putting the Rembrandt pigment in there, which is really rich and vibrant. And now I'm going over now with the cold red and lemon yellow, which will cause a zinginess to it, which will create a bit of a glow on that edge. And I'm working through it now, just sensing the temperature, building it up slowly but surely. You've got to build these things up quite slowly, and just keeping aware and feeling the temperature as you go. So adding a little bit of yellow to create a warmer feel, or a little bit of blue and red to create a cooler feel. Just like down to real time here so you can see my glazing. In this part here I'm using a bit of cold red with lemon yellow to create a zinginess. It creates that sort of tangy, sort of fresh feel to it. And going over them with the white again, putting cooler colours in with the blue and red, and just generally just playing with all these different tones and temperatures. Now to add the colour into the flower arrangement there, so these are the colours I'll be using, along with these greens. Now I started off playing with the idea like I normally do landscapes, is just using your burnt sienna with blue and a bit of yellow to create your own greens and desaturate it with the burnt sienna. Trying that idea, then using a bit of lemon yellow just to give it a bit of glow here and there. It's a case of just playing really and just seeing what works. It's just a blocking of the rich colour stage. The details will be put in later. It's just a matter of, again, preparing everything, making sure the temperature is more accurate now, and the value and the chroma as well. So you're just looking at all that sort of thing here and just playing about with colours, just changing things up here and there. It's just a case of just having a go really and just seeing what works. With the rich colour stage, I mentioned it's like a blocking. It's if you actually keep that in mind, then you're not looking at too much detail. All you're doing is blocking in the actual vibrancy, the chroma, the value, and therefore then it keeps you calm again, so you're not trying to put too much detail in at this stage. If you keep it in stages, each stage makes the next stage easier, and that's how I keep myself calm, and you enjoy it a lot more anyway, because you're just focusing on the job at hand. So I mapped it out using grey and white on the stems and the little flower buds. Then I've gone over that with the olive green and lemon yellow. So if you get it all sort of mapped out with the grey and white, you can easily change it, you see, because like I mentioned before, the grey doesn't cause a problem. So that's how you do sort of complicated things, is just map it out basically first and then just go over with colour. And for the dress underneath the flowers there, I'm just marking it out with the Faber-Castell white, adding them little highlight touches, then glazing over them with the cold red and ultramarine blue to create purples. Here I'm getting the colour of the dress more accurately in there, just blocking it in again with this rich colours, because I just need to find the right tones, so then when I do the hands, then I've got something to compare with. So that's what I did here for preparation, is doing the dress around the hands and the arms, so it gives me a better idea then of the values and all the subtleties in the hands, which will be coming next. Now for the hands and the arms, these are the colours I'll be using for the rich colour stage, and some dark skin tone colours there, and a basic colours I use as I used in the underdrawing as well, so they all come in handy. So the start way, I'm using the same colours I used in the underdrawing, but using the Caran dash, which are a lot richer in pigment. So I'm laying that colour in now over what I've already done, and that'll give it more vibrancy and more sort of aliveness to it. And now I'm going over with the pink white of the Caran dash, and then Carbothello white, which is really great for tinting because it's titanium white. So I'm combining the different whites, glazing over with blue if it's cooler, warmer areas using a bit of yellow ochre. Some places I'm using the red in mix flesh tone, that is from Caran dash, and this is flesh tone 5%. Slowing it down here so you can see how I'm using the red and the green together to create a natural shadow. Now if you're interested in knowing how to create shadows using complementary colours, I have got a free class for you. The link is in the description below, so you're welcome to it if you're interested. So be sure to check that out after the video. Now, there's loads of different shades in the shadow here, there's reflected light and that, so some areas are warmer, some are cooler, so I'm using the olive green to desaturate in the warmer places and then the cold dark red in the colder places. And it's just a case of keep changing up and just playing with it really and just seeing what works again. That's all it is, persevere and just see what works and then just enjoy the freedom of mixing these colours. I like to add colours in layers, so it's very slowly one layer after another and keep adjusting it. So you add the white, adjust it, put more colour in, adjust it again. Now because this is mostly shadow, I'm using a shadow skin tone from the Caran dash, a 745. It's really handy because it's very close to the colour I'm looking for, so you just add that in first and then just glaze over then, add in a bit more red, a bit more blue and adjusting it with a bit more yellow ochre until you get the sort of tone right. But using that as the base, it does help a little. It helps to smooth things out as well. Just slowing it down to real time now so we can see I'm using the Carbothello white here, small circles, creating that texture, using the pink white here now, creating texture of the skin and then glaze over the top. So you're forever doing that backwards and forwards to get that feeling that it's breathing the skin. Going through the procedure what I did here, just filling that tooth of the pastel mat with a colour which is similar to the pastel mat, which is 706. Then adding white over that just to tint it, and then again glazing like I normally do with the blue and the red to create that sort of purple look, and desaturate it with the yellow because the complementary colour of purple is yellow, so it all works together in creating the right sort of balance of value. Just preparing this, doing the same again, red and blue over it, just putting some pigment down and then just going over with white, mixing that pigment together to create that sort of texture of it's almost like a cheesecloth type material, that, and trying to get that sort of texture right and the feeling of the temperature. Just using those colours keeps it really simple. Now I'm using this grey white from the Caran dash 110. Brilliant pencil this is to actually soften things and to desaturate things, with it being a sort of light grey. We use it a lot for backgrounds to create sort of an atmosphere. I found this pencil really handy to create that softness I was looking for. Now using lemon yellow here from the Caran dash range, I needed something with really rich pigment so these flower buds will really stand out, and just twisting it just creates the right sort of pigment because the pastel mat just grabs that pigment from the pencil, and then just glazing over with the burnt sienna creates lovely golds as well. So put that pencil down first, the lemon yellow, and then just glaze with the burnt sienna. Just does the trick. Just slowing it down to real time, just show you how I'm doing these shadows here with the final details. Just lightly does it, you know, just a little bit here and there. Add in the red first and then I'll go over them with the dark green to create the right value. Just lightly does it, and if that value is not dark enough you can just keep adding that red and that green until it becomes dark enough. Thank you so much for watching the video right till the end, really appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. It would mean so much to me, as this will help the channel to grow. Very interesting portrait to do, there's so much going off and trying to get that balance of the warm and cool colours. Fascinating to do. I hope you've enjoyed it. If there's any questions at all and let me know how you feel about the portrait, please leave a message in the comment section below this video and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. In the meantime, if you want to see more of my work, please check out this video here. Take care, bye.